This couple discovers a seemingly sweet and polite boy, only to find out he has Superman-like powers and wants to destroy the planet. Tori and Kyle Breyer are living the dream of a peaceful life in the countryside. Well, except for the fact that they can't have a child. Their bookshelf looks like a fertility library, and they're in the middle of yet another attempt when something crashes outside with enough force to knock out the lights. At first, they ignore it, accustomed to Midwest tornadoes, but when the ground shakes again, they see something strange in their yard. Cut to the future, and we get a montage showing Brandon, their adopted son, growing up. He's cute, smart, and, well, came from that mysterious object that fell from the sky. Fast forward to Brandon's preteen years, and things start to get weird. First, he begins sleepwalking to the basement, standing in front of a glowing meteorite, mumbling. The next morning, he casually throws a lawnmower about 100 meters because the engine wouldn't start. When the blade begins to spin, he sticks his hand in it like he's testing a dangerous prank. Spoiler, not a scratch. At a family dinner, Uncle Noah gives him a toy gun, and Brandon demands the gift like he knows no one can send him to his room. Later, during breakfast, he chews on a fork without scratching his teeth, leaving Kyle increasingly suspicious. A hunting trip turns into a strange conversation not about puberty but about superpowers and lingerie ads. A classic father-son moment. Things take a darker turn when Brandon starts stalking Caitlin, a classmate. Her laptop mysteriously starts playing slow music, an obvious red flag in this type of movie, and she sees him watching her through the window like the creepiest DJ in the world. Caitlin's mom, conveniently the waitress from an earlier diner scene, interrupts. But things heat up when the farm's chickens turn up brutally slaughtered. Kyle suspects Brandon, while Tori prefers to blame a wolf, because denial is comforting. At school, Caitlin calls Brandon a pervert, and he responds by crushing her hand during a trust exercise. Overreaction much? Naturally, Caitlin's mom demands justice, but Brandon just stares her down like a kid who knows he's invincible. Meanwhile, Tori investigates Brandon's mysterious origins and catches him levitating in the barn. Ominously chanting about taking the world, he cuts his hand on the meteorite and freaks out upon learning his parents lied about where he came from. Furious, Brandon discovers he can shoot lasers from his eyes, supervillain style. Later, he visits Caitlin, leaving her a flower as if that makes up for stalking and breaking her hand. Caitlin's mom, however, isn't as lucky. Brandon attacks her at the diner, leaving the place looking like a scene from Predator. The next morning, Brandon insists to his parents that everything is fine. Typical manipulative alien behavior. Meanwhile, the sheriff investigates the diner, finding strange drawings that look like they came from a serial killer's notebook. Aunt Marilee tries to counsel Brandon, but he doesn't care. She considers calling the police, but honestly, what could they do? Later, Kyle vents to friends at a bar about how his son might be a monster. By now, the evidence is clear, but denial runs deep. Did you know this film was directed by David Yarovesky and produced by James Gunn, the same guy behind Guardians of the Galaxy? Talk about a genre shift. If I were Tori, I'd definitely stay far away from that meteorite. I call NASA or the Ghostbusters anything but investigating a glowing alien rock alone. And with all this happening, I'd buy a one-way ticket far away from Kansas. As you've probably noticed, this movie was inspired by Superman but flipped the alien savior idea into an alien nightmare. It's like The Omen meets Man of Steel, a truly disturbing combo. Continuing, Marilee is at home when the bathroom lights start flickering rapidly. Brandon shows up at her house and warns her not to talk to the police, saying it wouldn't be good for anyone. After a brief conversation, he seemingly leaves but stays outside, watching her as she texts Noah. Later, Brandon returns wearing his suit and hides in the closet, where Noah finds him. Noah tries to take him away and threatens to tell Brandon's parents. While loading items into Noah's truck, a confrontation occurs, resulting in Noah being thrown into the garage door. Frightened, Noah flees in his truck but realizes Brandon is following him. The vehicle loses control and stalls. Brandon appears in front of the truck, lifts it into the air, and smashes it to the ground, gravely injuring Noah. Brandon then draws his symbol on the ground using Noah's blood. Brandon returns home, claiming he was playing soccer the whole time and lost his shirt due to bullies. That night, Kyle dreams of how Tori found Brandon as a baby. They are awakened by a call informing them of Noah's death. At the hospital, Marilee mentions Brandon visited her before the incident, worrying Kyle. The next day, when Kyle tells Brandon about Noah's death, he simply responds with, "Okay." Kyle begins to suspect Brandon and confronts him, leading to a physical altercation. Later, Kyle finds Brandon's shirt stained with blood and shares his concerns with Tori, who hesitates to believe him. Meanwhile, the sheriff investigates the crash and notices similarities between the symbols at the crime scenes and Brandon's drawings. Kyle decides to take Brandon hunting, where he tries to shoot him, but the bullet has no effect. Brandon confronts Kyle and kills him with laser vision. Concerned, Tori tries to contact Kyle but fails. Brandon answers the call and tells her Kyle is gone and that he's coming home. Brandon arrives and begins wreaking havoc. Tori calls the police, but the line is cut off. The sheriff and his deputy arrive at the scene but are attacked by Brandon. Tori flees to the barn, where she finds the meteorite that brought Brandon to Earth. She grabs a fragment, hoping to use it against him. Brandon appears, and Tori tries to stab him, but he stops her and takes her into the sky, dropping her, leading to her death. Later, a plane crashes into the Breyer house, killing everyone on board. Brandon is seen eating a cookie, feigning innocence. Now, in a situation like Kyle's, confronting Brandon directly is risky given his superhuman abilities. A more cautious approach, seeking external help or devising a strategic plan, might be more effective. One fascinating aspect of the film is how it flips the traditional superhero origin story, exploring what would happen if someone with extraordinary powers chose a dark path instead of becoming a hero. Leave your thoughts on the movie in the comments. And now I present to you a video where a group of teens explores a seemingly peaceful park, only to discover it hides many mysteries. Just click, and I'll see you there.